Hi, my name is Noel Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to finish up harvesting bin number 2. So I showed before how I added that food tube inside the bin, and it's just a small tube that has food in it. Hope it's been 3 days now. We're going to see if those worms have congregated in that tube, eaten the food, and we can take them all out, and then we can do the sorting with my harvesting machine. So first, let's go take a look at the bin and see how it's done in these 3 days. All right, here's our bin. It is labeled 510, which is the last time I've really fed them. And let's take a look and see how this food roll is going. First off, a little bit more moisture on the lid. Last time it was dry. That's because of the food that we added. And as I said, it's only been 3 days. So let's just take a look in here. Quite a few worms on here. We're going to take this out, actually. I've got my container right here. I've got one of these little containers. Let's just dump them in there, and you can see there's a whole bunch of worms in there. Not as many as I thought, but I know that it takes time for them to get in here. So we're going to go ahead and throw these worms in there. And then we're just going to kind of take a poke around here. Let's just see if there's some maybe in the area. It looks like there's a piece of food that came out here. And we can grab some of this material too. You don't have to sort all of it perfectly because you do want some new material in, or old material I should say, in your new bin when you start it. So overall, a little bit more over here. I'm just going to grab this handful too. Overall pretty good, but not nearly as many worms as I expected. This is why I still harvest them. But this means that these guys have been fed. They moved into this area. I see another worm little wiggling right there. I'll just throw them in there too. And now we can start putting this through the sorting machine and get this ready to go again. So the next step is sorting it in the sorting machine. So let's head over there. All right, so we're here at the sorting machine. I have the bucket of castings back here on this side. I've got my shovel here so I can dish them out and put them on here. The only thing we have to do is get this started. And if you want to know how this works, I have multiple videos on this. I have the one on how I built it the first couple of times I used it. So I've tried to refine it a little bit, but we'll see how it goes here. I'm just trying to sort out the majority of the worms, not all of them. You can never get all of them. So I'm going to start this up here, and let's get going. right, so we have this sorted a little bit. This is what came out at one side of it. Just using that to hold it up there so you can see. Quite a bit of castings came out this side because they were a little wet. Lots of worms though on this side. I also still see some of this plastic in there that I'll take out later, and maybe a couple plastic pieces in there. But overall, not too bad. This is still quite a bit more than I'd really like. I'd like this to sort down a little bit more. I'll probably run it through again. But let's see what the castings look like underneath. There's also still some worms on the screen here. So let me go underneath here. And these are some nice looking castings. So I'm really impressed with the way this works and sorts it out. There's some sure some worms in here, although I'm not seeing any right now. Surprisingly, normally I would already when I've sorted in the past. Let's just see here. Maybe one right there. Oh, there we go. There's a couple of them right there, so we could pull him out. So you can see right there, there's a worm. So I'm going to throw him down there. A couple of them right there. You know, and I could do a light sort method on this. I mean, it's really, really light. It's really airy. Kind of crumbles apart in your hands. And my hands aren't real dirty after grabbing this stuff. It's a little wet, but not too bad. I mean, I could clump it together, but it shakes apart. So this is why I really like sorting this way. Also, it kind of gets out all these chunks and stuff that really don't do well in my bins, or I should say in my garden. But it really helps to sort this out. So we're going to run this through again, see if we can get a little bit more in here, and also get a little bit less out of the worm section. So let's run this through one more time. All right. So there we go. We sorted it one more time. Even less. This was at a slightly higher speed, but even less in here. And I'm sure more came out the bottom. I still have to get the worms that are on the screen off, and I will do that. I usually kind of bang it up and down to try to get those guys off. And under here, if I get this, there's even more. So you can't see it now, but there was a mound here. And this sorted really, really well. So this worked really well. And still not seeing too many worms in here. So I'm going to put this back underneath just for now because I need to make sure I shake out the tarp that's under there too. But that's how you sort this. Next, we're going to get this bin going again with new material and add the worms back in. All right, so we are back here, and here's our empty bin. This is going to be bin number 2. And as you can see, it's still dry on the side. There's a little bit left in, but it's been sorted now, and it's time to start getting this going again. Now, my last time I had this with cocoa coir. This time we're going to use standard shredded newspaper. So, or I should say paper and, or not newspaper, cardboard. So this is paper and cardboard mixed together. I know there's a lot of paper in here, but there is cardboard. And we're just going to kind of load this up a little bit with a few inches. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some water to this. So I've got my sprayer. I'm just going to kind of spray this down a little bit. Need a little bit more pressure in there. All right, let's try it now. A little better. We're just going to get this a little bit damp. We're not going to get it soaked. Just a little bit of water. Hold it down. Hold any of the dust down. All right, maybe a little bit more. Hold on a second here. Just to make sure. Okay, there we go. I think we're good now. Now, we're going to add our worms back in. So, just so you can see here, this is about what we have left over. This is a lot less than what's sorted out, but it's still quite a bit of material left in here, but that's fine. It's fine to have material left over because this is going to be rich in microbes. It's going to help them break this down. So I'm just going to tilt this in. You're going to see this slide in here. If I can get it to slide. Well, just a second here. The light's in the way, so I'm going to have to move this back just a little bit here. All right, we're almost there. Hold on a second. There we go. Now there's still some worms in the tray. I'll grab those in a minute and add them, but we don't have to worry about them right now. Let me move this back here so you can see. So we've added all the material that we had in there. We're just going to let that cover all the newspaper. The newspaper is a food, but it's not, or I keep saying newspaper. I mean cardboard and paper. I'm not using newspaper. I haven't used newspaper in a long time. You can use newspaper, but I don't, because I don't get a newspaper at my house, so no newspaper for me. But this has a regular office paper in it, and you know, some cardboard, and we're just going to use that as kind of a base. And they're going to dig their way down into there. They're going to see that it's a little bit wet, but not too wet. It's going to absorb some of the moisture that's on top here because this is still a little bit damp. And then we're going to let this sit for a few days before we feed them. I don't want to rush and add a whole bunch of food when they're getting used to a new bin. They just went through a traumatic experience with being sorted. You want to let them adjust. So that's going to be it for this. We're just going to add them in here. We're going to let them dig down in. We're going to let them dig through the bin a little bit. We'll see how they're doing in a few more days, and then maybe add some food. But we want to give them a chance. And when you get worms at home, I suggest you do the same thing. So with that, the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to peel off this label right here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to grab a new piece of paper here. And I know this is going to be upside down for you, but put a new one on here. This is a piece of tape. Put it down right there. And we're going to call this bin 2. And today's date is 7/10/2020. So that's the start of this bin. And you're going to follow this along with bin 1. And we're going to just continually do these videos and updates. I won't feed the bins without you being there, and we'll just continue to do these. I'm going to run these a little bit differently. Bin 1, I think, is running on a cocoa coir, I think, or hardwood pellets. I can't remember which, but this one's going to run on cardboard. And we're going to add food to them. We're going to see how they do, and then we'll harvest them at the end again, and we'll see how they're doing. So That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you want to support my channel, please click on the Amazon links down below before you go make a purchase. It does give me a little bit of funding to be able to continue doing this and to keep increasing how my setup is. So thank you for watching, and let me know if you have any questions. There's one thing I forgot to do. I forgot to add this stuff that I had sorted out before. So let's add those guys back in. So they'll get a little bit of food here on the top. As you can tell, there were quite a few worms in here. I mean, look at this worm ball in here. So they were in there. They'll dig down in. They'll finish that food anyhow. We can actually kind of cover this up with the cardboard. But I did forget to do that. So there we go. That's good to go. And now we're good to put the lid back on and shut this up. And come back in a few days and make sure this food's kind of gone and see how it's doing.